Hey, hello everybody. It's a January crisp afternoon in Salt Lake City. I'm on location at the Warm Springs Plunge building, built in 1921, utilizing the warm springs bubbling up out of the Wasatch Mountains behind us. This beautiful building was designed and built as a resort for the residents of Salt Lake City so that they could come here and swim in the pools and the natural hot springs. The water was utilized right out of the ground to fill the swimming pools until 1946. And then in 1946, they went to a culinary water supply. The swimming pool and the resorts are long since gone, but today there's a residence that I want you to meet. I want to show you what they have done. This is now the home of the Golden Spike Train Club of Utah, an HO model railroad club that has built a massive layout in the bottom of this beautiful building. Come with me and follow down the tracks of history. Well, here we are with George. George is our club president here at the Golden Spike Train Club of Utah. And I want to ask you a couple questions, George, about the history of the railroad, the model club, as well as its affiliation with the building here, the Warm Springs Plunge, as it was called. Is a HO model railroad that is located in the basement of the old Warm Springs Plunge building on up in North Salt Lake on Beck Street. It has currently around 25 members. It's DCC controlled. When did it actually take residence here in the basement of the museum?
It was 1985. The Children's Museum of Utah invited us to come over here and build a layout that would be part of the display for the Children's Museum. And we came over here and we had, it was obvious we had a lot of work to do. A guy named Mike Thompson came up with a layout plan and we started, that's what we started from.
Exactly. Now, I understand that it is a mountainous railroad in HO scale. Is there a reason for the mountainous terrain, and what's the reason for that?
It was, the layout was based on the SP line over Donner Pass, which is a very rugged mountain railroad, and that's something we all agreed we wanted to have in this mountain.
So the layout is actually themed and has prototypical locations on the Union Pacific Railroad as well as the Southern Pacific Railroad.
Right. And Galili is on the Denver and Rio Grande. We have people who model primarily the SP, the Union Pacific, the Rio Grande, Western Pacific.
George, a little bit more about the layout. Now, this layout for the Model Railroad Club is recognized as the largest static model train club in the state of Utah layout. How many scale miles does the club, the layout, provide for their members to run their locomotives and trains?
A ballpark figure would be 20 miles.
20 miles of scale track.
And because we have two levels, we have the main level where we start off at the level of the main yard, and then we climb up through the mountains and go to the very top, and we come back down
into the rafters. It's really impressive.
And we go all the way up into the rafters, and we go down on a second level that is below the main level, and it's a nice long run.
A long run being that at scale speeds, how long does it typically take for a train to make it from point A to point B, or from start to finish from where it actually departed on the layout and then returned?
About 10 to 15 minutes.
Really? Train Club is a very important entity in the community, and it's sitting in a very historical building, built in 1921. So. Well, George, I'd like to thank you so much for speaking with us today. And your full name again, please?
George Edwin Buchanan, Jr.
Ah, that's very impressive. Well, George, thanks so much. And we're going to go run some trains now.
Amen on that one.
Let's do it. I'm talking today with the Vice President of the Golden Spike Train Club of Utah. How you doing, Pete?
Good. How you doing,
I'm
Mark?
doing great, man. This is an amazing layout. I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. How beautiful is that? As they say, she'll be coming around the mountain, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a prime example of the type of models that the members will run on this layout.
Oh, yes. Beautiful. Just beautiful steam era and early diesels.
Very prototypical.
All, yeah. Mainly prototypical on the layout.
Yeah, fantastic.
Itself, so.
Yeah. And I understand that it's a DCC controlled layout, which to my understanding is that it's a computer driven type of system that the locomotives have what people would think is a computer chip in them, and then you guys have radios that actually send a signal to these locomotives, so they're like radio controlled locomotives.
Yeah, and you can use a wireless throttle.
Really?
It's great. Yeah, it runs beautiful.
Geez, model trains have come a long way since I was a kid running around the Christmas tree.
Yeah, me too.
Well, listen, I'm really excited to be here, and I'd like us to run some trains. And while we're here, we're going to do some filming, and let's have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Pete,
Great.
thanks so much.
You're
Full steam ahead, as they say.
You bet.
Okay, let's go.
See ya.
Let's get down the line. Let's get down.
I hear that train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when, but I'm stuck in Salt Lake City. I'm running trains with my friends, but that trains keep a-rollin' because of all my friends. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always make sure that Pete and George are there to run your trains in Salt Lake, just so you can see them go around the divide. When I hear that whistle blowing, we all hang our heads and cry. Suey.